So last night in Michigan, a very sick man shot up the campus of Michigan State University. As expected, the media immediately tried to politicize the tragedy, but were quickly hit with a strong dose of reality. Michigan Democrat House Whip put out an official statement, immediately going to politics on this. F your thoughts and prayers. Our office will continue to work tirelessly to pass common sense gun reform immediately, from some clown that didn't even know what had happened yet. Congresswoman Elise Slotkin then jumped in and decided to say this.
I am filled with rage that we have to have another press conference to talk about our children being killed in their schools. And I would say that you either care about protecting kids or you don't.
So you've been preconditioned to believe that the suspect would be a young white kid with an AR-15 that he legally just bought at Dick's Sporting Goods, and that could have been prevented if only Republicans would quit being such morons about guns. But again, none of that was the case. There's the killer, 43-year-old Anthony McCray, and he did all of that damage with a pistol.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and the money that comes along with defending the NRA and the gun lobby must be enough to keep right-wingers sleeping well at night, as yet another mass shooting event occurred at Michigan State University. Here we are with some more thoughts and prayers and praising guns, but not protecting our children.
And then we learned none of this would have happened if the state of Michigan actually enforced law and order, which of course is not very fashionable in blue states anymore. It turns out that McCray previously had a felony gun charge that was dismissed by a progressive prosecutor. He should have been in jail last night when he committed this crime. In 2019, he was convicted of illegally carrying a concealed pistol without a permit. He faced up to 5 years in prison, would have been in jail till 2024. But Soros-backed prosecutor Carol Simon dismissed those charges.
This Newsmax host hits all the right talking points, that we only believe it's white people doing the shootings and the guns are always acquired legally through a loophole. You know what the common theme there is? It's the guns. It's this country's sick obsession with guns and how we have more per person than any other nation. Isn't it crazy how the argument of criminals will commit crimes no matter what, and how guns are so important to them, but on legalizing other things and cutting down on nonviolent offenses with cannabis, that's just a bridge too far? Can't have people out here caught with cannabis, but guns, they'll find a way to make sure everyone in the country can access those.
I could spend all of my shows talking about mass shootings in the United States. That's how many there are. The ubiquity of guns is obviously a factor, but there's no way to stop the ubiquity of guns. They're out there. And unless we use the United States Armed Forces to invade Americans, to confiscate them, which would create a civil war, there is no way to undo that. They're out there.
We could make it harder to access guns. We could, as a country, come together and decide that our interpretation of the Second Amendment maybe didn't ever include the notion that people would be taking weapons of war to elementary schools and murdering children. But then what would they, NRA do? They would just shrivel up into nothing, and that would leave the politicians and right-wing talking heads a lot less wealthy.
The crisis in this country is not guns. The crisis in this country is values. The left has destroyed every institution that helped create a good society. The nuclear family is, heteronormative and therefore contemptible. The university is not there to teach. What is left? Nothing. And since the human being is a morally weak creature by natural tendency, you are going to have more and more awful things happening.
Every day there is a new threat to your children if you ask these lunatics. Drag shows, teachers, books, education in general. But the thing slaughtering them is the guns. And that isn't convenient to their theme or their talking points that they have decided to stand on. If you don't see it yet, look a little bit harder, because they are fine with children dying. You think they care about babies after they are born? No. The quote pro-life people are actively wearing AR-15 pins in the house in the same week that marked the tragedy of yet another school shooting. But that gun and that image of freedom that they have worked up in all the minds is so fragile that just one type of weapon being banned makes everything fall apart, even if it means saving the lives of our children. These people are disgusting, and they are using you for your money. Don't get it twisted. They don't care about your safety or your families or how terrified you are that your kid's school will be next. They care about political points and the next opportunity to blame a gay person or a Democrat for the world's problems, when chances are a Republican in an office somewhere caused it. And in the wake of this tragedy, we see waves of permitless carry laws and a free-for-all on who can get their hands on some more guns, because that is exactly what the gun lobby pays for. Never accuse a Republican or a MAGA right-winger of caring about you and your kids, because they take checks with blood on their hands, and that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.